Hey, it's Danny Keith here at the Electric Ballroom. We're back on the line with Punky Meadows.
I mean, the Cherry People, I mean, you guys were like the hardest working band in D.C. I mean, and you guys got a record deal. I think you were still in high school, right?
Yeah, we were. What happened was we were just playing, clubs and stuff. We decided we wanted to try to make it, so we went to New York City and played the Cafe WRAT.
Right.
And the summer up there, and this guy Ron Haskins saw us, and they tried to make us into the Monkees, that kind of thing,
Really?
Right. Yeah, they didn't let you play on the album, right, or something?
Exactly. Which we just sang, and we had, they had songwriters come in. They wanted to make us into the Monkees, that kind of thing. And
right.
So we did that album, and then we went on tour and went out to California and all that kind of stuff, and did that thing. But that's when I was playing at the Cafe WRAT, and I first saw Hendrix.
Wow. Yeah.
And
yeah, that's interesting.
And I knew that I didn't want to be the Monkees, And I didn't want to anyway. But we were just kids. We were trying to make it somewhere somehow.
Yeah.
And so we kind of left that whole thing behind and went back to D.C. again and started working in nightclubs and we just became a heavier band. We were.
That's an interesting story, though. In 1970, weren't you were asked to go in the studio with Jimi Hendrix, correct?
Yeah, what happened was we were playing at the Silver Dollar nightclub there, and the owner of the club wanted us to go up to New York City and just party one weekend. So we decided to hop in his car. We went up there. We wound up at Steve Paul's Scene, and there was a nightclub there, the hip nightclub back then, in New York City. And Rick Derringer was in there playing, and he was screwing around to the Echoplex or something on stage. And we were sitting around this table there, and Hendrix came walking in, and he knew we were in a band because of the way we looked and stuff. And he had just lost Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
So the experience.
And he had Billy Cox and up there, and he invited us up to the record plant. So we said, cool. We couldn't believe it, and so we went up there, and he put us up for a couple of days in hotels. And
wow.
I was so young and so impressed. I mean, it was Hendrix, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Unbelievable. All the stuff that something that you said before, which was very interesting. You said that you actually enjoyed your time, cutting your teeth more so than when it actually like the fame came for you. Because a lot of musicians that we meet, say the same thing. It's like what you're doing now, or a lot of kids that listen to the show, are musicians. But really the best part of it is the chase, right?
Well, it's also you're learning you're learning to play more. I think once you make it the big time, you're more worried about showmanship and projecting, on those large stages, and then trying to, just trying to promote yourself. You're no longer really learning much anymore as you are when you're playing in nightclubs all the time because you don't have a chance to experiment and do things,
Right.
And so it's different. I think I think you kind of stop learning when you get to a certain point when you're just playing big stages and you're trying to just project yourself so big and running around. Which when you're playing in clubs, you're learning stuff all the time. You're learning your chops, and it's a growing experience, And like I said, and it's just so much fun because you're there, and you're the hero. Anyway, you know what I mean, in town. So
yeah. Now,
I always wanted to make it though, so I did whatever I had to do that. I mean, I would go to New York City and sleep on people's floors and eat rice, try to meet the right people. I mean, that's how I met David Krebs and Frank Conley and those people back in the day because I would leave town and go try to find it.
When you were mentioning Cafe WRAT, did you remember Manny Roth at all, David Lee Roth's uncle?
I do. I knew him. I mean, he was the owner then. Yeah. So I mean, I knew him and stuff, and we played there for one summer, the Summer of Love down there, and we lived at the Albert Hotel, which is on I think 10th and University or something like that.
I think it's still there, right?
Is it there?
I think it's still there.
The cafe was there. I know that.
Yeah. It's funny enough. Van Halen, when they did their reunion, they did their show in New York at the Cafe WRAT, before the record came out.
Yeah, that place they didn't serve alcohol there. It was just a place where they had soft drinks and stuff like that. And Jose Feliciano was playing there, and he was playing the Flight of the Bumblebee, and that was really cool and stuff like that. It was neat, man. It was the Summer of Love, like I said, and all the hippies were out there wearing peacoats and
that's cool.
and bell bottoms and stuff. And it was just, and I was from D.C., which was kind of still a hick town, really. You know what I mean, compared to New York City. So it was another learning experience for me, and I was just infatuated by the whole thing, and just had the best time of my life up there. In fact, I met my wife. She was a waitress up there, and I wound up marrying her because I met her.
Wow,
that's a great story right there, all on its own.
Right,
that was cool. Yeah.
Real quick, Punky, going back to the Jimi Hendrix studio thing, I heard some of the stuff you guys recorded was released.
I mean, I didn't play guitar because it was Hendrix playing. The only person in our band that played was Rocky Isaac, our drummer. He played.
Oh, okay.
On a session on a couple songs. I think Stone Free was one of them.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I'd have to go back. There's this guy Al Marks who has all the, and they actually released that story in one of the guitar magazines not too long ago, and I just read over it real quickly. But yeah, I mean, I was sitting there with Hendrix watching him play. You know, he would have these white fur pants on and a black light on, and I'd be laying under the grand piano, you know, and watching him play with his bandana on, and then he would come back into the control room and just start mixing things and panning the guitar back and forth. But what was cool about Hendrix was that he wasn't the guy that I expected. You know, when you meet a guy like that, you think he's going to be, hey, foxy lady, that kind of guy. But he was not like that. He was very quiet and shy and soft-spoken, and a good sense of humor. And so it kind of struck, and that's when it told me you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about what the guy did from 67 to 70. I mean, 3 years. I mean, there's still stuff that's coming out now. I mean, I remember having Leslie West on the show one time, and he was telling me that one night they all went to this the Loft in New York City, and they played for like hours, and it was all being recorded to 2-inch, and those tapes disappeared. They got lost in the back of a taxi cab, and Leslie said that one of his wishes is that someone would actually find those tapes, put it on, and realize it was Jimmy playing. But the body of work that guy did in 3-4 years is, most people don't do that in a 20-30 year career.
Right.
Well, and it was beautiful too. I mean, the thing about Hendrix is a lot of people don't realize is that it wasn't about just his solo. And the beauty of the guitar really lies in chords and things like that. And he just could play these beautiful chordal things, that were just from another world. And some people just channel music from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he was one of those guys. Other guitar players are guitar players, but Hendrix was one of those guys that could just and Stevie Ray Vaughan is another one that was like that.
Right.
Those are the guys that Stevie Ray Vaughan gives me a hard on whenever he plays because he's just a guitar player for me. I mean, there are great guitar players, and then there are some guitar players that are just stand alone, and Hendrix was one of those guys.
Well, to a lot of people, you're one of those guys too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's nice, but that's not
no, you really are, man.
And you're definitely one of those dudes. So right now we're going to play something from Angel. Danny wanted to hear Pressure Point.
Oh, yeah, man. That's actually the first song I ever heard by Angel, and it always stuck with me. I love that album, Hell of a Band. It's an amazing album, maybe my favorite. I'm not sure. They're all great, but yeah, this is Pressure Point by Angel.
Keith Roth, Danny Aniello, and Punky Meadows here in the